Today on The Secret Kitchen, I'm making some tomato soup from scratch, and these are actually canned tomatoes. They are, oh, this is going to be so good. And instead of your grilled cheese that is most expected, I've got cheese stuffed biscuits. And look at these. You can see that they're nice and ooey gooey. The cheese is sticking out. Oh, these are going to be wonderful. You're going to love this, and I'm going to make it for you right now. Welcome to Secret Kitchens of New Jersey. And you know what? Today I'm going to make some tomato soup for you. And I'm not making grilled cheese. I'm going to make cheese stuffed biscuits. They're going to be awesome. But let's talk about the tomato soup. I'm not using fresh tomatoes today. You know, this is the time of year you can't always get really good fresh tomatoes. But you can always get a good can of peeled plum tomatoes. That's what I'm using. So I've got one can, 28 ounces of peeled plum tomatoes right here. The juice and everything. And I'm just gonna break the tomatoes up a little bit with my spatula. So my oven is preheated to 425. This is really going to turn out delicious. I mean, you'll be surprised if you've never done tomato soup this way. All right, so we do want to add a few more things to this. All right, well, first of all, tomatoes cry out for salt. So let's just take a good, healthy pinch of salt and salt the tomatoes. You know, again, as much or as little as you want. Lots of pepper. Okay, lots of salt and pepper. Now, I didn't have any fresh basil, my bad, so I'm going to put some dried basil in here. These are, you know, kind of optional. You want to add something else to this, you go ahead and you do you. Now, I've got 3 pretty good-sized cloves of garlic. I'm going to put these in here too. They're going to roast in the oven. They're going to get really mellow. I've got I'm going to say like a medium-sized onion that I peeled, and I just kind of, you know, chunked it up. And I'm going to put all of this in here. Now, the last ingredient, and I got this idea from a friend of mine many years ago. This is a medium-sized sweet potato. That's right, a sweet potato, and I chunked it up. The sweet potato is going to roast with the tomatoes. And when I blitz this all together later, the sweet potato is going to give it a wonderful body. It's going to make it, it's going to help as a thickener. You're not really going to taste sweet potato. You're just going to taste delicious. So now I'm just going to kind of get this mixed up a little bit. Not much really to this. And now I will say one thing to you. If you feel like the tomatoes, even from the jar, are somewhat on the not as sweet as you would like them, feel free to add a little bit of sugar, a tablespoon or so, or whatever you feel. If you feel like you need to sweeten up your tomatoes, not your potatoes, your tomatoes as they roast. But I've had these tomatoes before, and I'm good with them. But I am going to go ahead and give a little drizzle of olive oil. Okay, that's it. This is going in the oven, 425 degrees. It's going to go in for about 30 to 35 minutes. I'll check it at 30. I want the potatoes to get roasted, everything to kind of caramelize, and then I'll show you the next step, okay? Okay, the tomatoes are roasting in the oven, and while they're roasting in the oven, I want to prep my stuffed cheese biscuits. So I'm just using, you know, those refrigerator biscuits, the Grands, won't say the brand name. They come 8 to a case. You pop them and you open them up. Hey, if you've got homemade biscuits, even better. But sometimes we need to take a little extra help at the supermarket. There's nothing wrong with that. We're going to totally customize them. I happen to have 6 of them right now because 2 of them were eaten. And what I've done is I've just basically broke them, not peeled them in half. So I've got 2 of them that I'm going to make for you, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So we have to, if you have a little tiny rolling pin, that's awesome, but I don't. So I'm just using my hands to kind of spread these out a little bit. Okay, that's my bottom. All right, so what I'm going to do in this particular one, I've got a piece of mozzarella cheese. This is the sliced stuff. Use anything you want. It nestles in perfectly right there. Now the lid, if you've got some bacon or some ham or something else that you want to add to this, that would be a delicious addition. Okay. Or even a piece of basil. Oh, anything really that you'd want. All right, this is going on the top. This is not necessary, you know, and I'm kind of rolling up the edges. You do it however you want. If you want to take a fork and kind of mold the edges, you can do that too. There's no great science to this. All right, here it is. I'm going to put it on the tray. Now this one, so I have mozzarella cheese, and I have this this blend of shredded cheeses that I used the other night when I made tacos. And I thought that would be equally delicious inside of my own version of a kind of a grilled cheese, instead of a grilled cheese. All right, so we're going to take a nice, good amount of this right in the middle. You know, measure, this is kind of a non-recipe. Measurements, you use as much as you want to use. I'm not going to tell you what to do here. Spread this out. Your fingers are fine. Put that on top. I'm kind of rolling up the edges. Kind of seal it all together so the cheese stays in there. So let me get this on my sheet pan, parchment paper on this. These will bake separately. Okay, let me get them and let me finish off the others, and I'll show you what they look like, and there's one final step, okay? Okay, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to give them an egg wash, because you always want to give things an egg wash. It's just going to look better. And we have 2 different ways that we're going to top these. We're going to use some everything bagel seasoning, because you know I love that. And the other one, we're going to put a little flaky salt and black pepper. So let's just get these. These are the mozzarella ones. These are kind of on the flat side. That's how I can tell them apart. If you don't have everything bagel seasoning, or if you have some za'atar, you know, we did an episode talking about za'atar, that would be delicious as well. You want to leave them plain? Hey, that works too. But let's try to make them a little more interesting than just plain. All right, so here's what we're going to do. For the mozzarella ones, totally arbitrary, I'm going to put some flaky salt on the top. You know, flaky salt is literally salt that comes in big flakes. And as I sprinkle it on, I'm kind of grinding it up a little bit with my fingers, you're going to get this wonderful bite of saltiness. Be delicious. And some pepper. Again, as much or as little as you want. And on these guys, you know, love our everything bagel seasoning. So we are going to very generously, oh, that wasn't generous. We're going to very generously coat these with everything bagel seasoning. Now on this we follow the package directions, which I believe it was $3.75 for about 14 minutes, depending on how brown you want these to be. And I do like them to be nice and brown. So we'll get these in the oven. The tomatoes are still roasting. I'll show you what everything looks like when we get this out. All right, I just wanted you to see what this looks like as it came out of the oven. I mean, it's very, very hot right now. So I've got the tomatoes and the onion, the garlic, the sweet potato, which is nice and soft. This has been roasting for about 30 minutes at 425. It smells delicious. So I'm just going to let it cool a little bit. I want to get it into this jar. I'm doing that off camera, hint, hint. And then what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to blitz it up with my little motorboat engine. So give me a minute to get this in here and get everything ready, and I'll show you what it looks like when we start the next step. All right, I carefully got that very hot tomato mixture into my soup pot because I wanted something deep when I work with this so it doesn't splatter. So another thing that we have here is I have about 2 cups of chicken broth. This is homemade stock. You can use whatever you want. You can even use vegetable broth. That would be delicious too, because we are going to add some of this. I'm just going to add a little bit right now to make it a little bit easier for me. So, you know, once again, this is your soup and you're going to do this your way. You want it to be thicker or thinner, that's up to you. And I'll tell you something, if you want this to be absolutely silky smooth, I would definitely blitz this in a food processor. But I personally like a little bit of texture to it, all right? So I'm using this guy. So let me get this blended, and sorry for the noise. All right, so let me just show you where I'm at right now with this, okay? So this is, everything has been blended. It's still got a good amount of body to it. And part of that is because of the sweet potato. I'm going to add the rest of this in here. Okay, give this, can just kind of mix it up a little more. You know, I feel like tomato soup, people like it thinner, people like it thicker. There's really no right or wrong. Boy, this smells fantastic, I will tell you that. All right, this is, in my mind, a good consistency. And you know what we want to do? We want to taste it for looking for a spoon. And all right, I just wanted to taste it for seasoning. It's good. I'm going to add a little more salt and pepper. You know, remember, tomatoes really do love salt. How much salt? Well, that's really up to you. A little more pepper. Okay, give it a stir. Let's see how this tastes now. Oh, it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Okay, the muffins, the biscuits. The cheese stuffed biscuits are almost done. And as soon as they're done, I'll show you what everything looks like, and then we'll taste. All right, everything is done. I actually put a splash of milk in my tomato soup. That's an option. You don't have to do that. But check out these biscuits. I mean, these just look really primo. This one has the stuffed mozzarella, and you can see it was oozing out. And this one has the medley of cheeses, the kind that I use when I make tacos. Everything bagel seasoning and a little bit of flaky sea salt and extra pepper. These were in the oven about 15 minutes. That's all it took. And this soup is just really, really beautiful. I'm going to give it a shot right now and see how it is. It's good. Wow. So this is kind of has a lot of texture to it. It's not too salty. It's got a lot of flavor from the onion and the garlic and the basil. It's absolutely delicious. But I really want to dive into these. Come on. Doesn't that look delicious? I love the flaky sea salt on the top. A hint of pepper. You get a little crunch from the flaky sea salt. Delicious. Oh my God. That's so good. And of course, you got a dunk. How good is this? So good. Please, you got to make this. It's so easy. It's so delicious. Like and subscribe. Keep us inspired. We'll see you next time on Secret Kitchens of New Jersey.